Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel Amok for All and welcome back to a very quick video about my recommended HDR in-game picture settings for Immortals Fenyx Rising. So before we start, if you'd like to know how to set up HGiG for your PlayStation or Xbox in the correct way, I put a link in the description. And also if you'd like to know what picture settings I'm using for my HGiG, the link is also in the description. Okay, so let's start. And I uploaded a video previously where I found out that HGiG has no impact whatsoever in a couple of games. And this counts for Immortal Fenyx Rising, because in my opinion it is because we have in-game settings or in-game sliders, whatever you call this, in the game. And if you set up your PlayStation or Xbox whatsoever with HGiG or dynamic tone mapping on, the settings on the PlayStation or Xbox has no impact on the game whatsoever. So, but of course what has an impact is what mode you're using on your HGiG. So if you have a TV which has just dynamic tone mapping on and off, then of course I would recommend put it on. But if you have an HGiG or LG OLED TV which supports dynamic tone mapping on, off and HGiG, then I would strongly recommend to calibrate your PlayStation or Xbox with HGiG on, as in my video shown, because the difference, as always, even there's no impact on the game, how you set it in the PlayStation or the Xbox, but the difference between dynamic tone mapping on and HGiG is always the same. Dynamic tone mapping on is overbrighten the picture, and HGiG is keeping the nice contrast between darker and brighter areas. Okay, so regardless on how you set up your PlayStation or Xbox, in the menu from the PlayStation or Xbox, my recommended settings for image HDR calibration for Immortals Fenyx Rising is in the HGiG menu. You go with the maximum luminance, of course, when we're talking about an HGiG with 800 candela, which is the maximum, 760, 780, something like this. And exposure with HGiG calibrated or not with HGiG on is -4. When you're using dynamic tone mapping on, I would recommend actually -5, okay? So why -4 or -5? I can show you this. So the standard is 0, of course. And when we go out from the menu and we're looking at fine details like the stone has, it's a little bit hard now to see because the sun goes down, but when the sun is up, this is very bright. Also the details on this shiny objects here, and with the standard settings to 0, there's almost no details, no texture, it's just bright. You can't see or you can't distinguish any textures or shapes or edges or something like this. The same for stones, the same for the mountains, the same for clouds, okay? So when you go into the image HDR calibration and you change this to -4 when the TV is set to HGiG or -5 when the TV is set to dynamic tone mapping on, then you get the fine details back and the picture is still very, very bright. So now we have much more details. I hope you can see this. I set up my camera in the manual mode to make it a little bit easier for you. And here as well, this is now much better. You can see now the fine details. Everything is back to normal. So that's my recommended settings. -4 from the exposure. I show you again. -4 for HGiG, -5 for dynamic tone mapping on, and 800 for the maximum luminance. And this, of course, is when we're talking about an LG OLED, and I'm very sure it counts for the C9, B9, the C10, B10, and so on, because the panel is almost the same, very similar. Of course, if we're talking about a different OLED TV like Panasonic or Sony TVs, then it might be different, but you have to just play around with the exposure. Maximum luminance should be around the same value because all the OLED TVs are around 800 candela, more or less. But play with the exposure, okay? Okay, so that's for this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because I will upload more recommended settings. I will do more testing in terms of HGiG. And put in the comments what game you like to see next, because I have a couple of games or plenty of games. And I'm happy to do more testing and upload more videos, okay? So thank you very much for watching me. I see you next time. Bye.